major theme of this workshop are patterns. Patterns in the land surface, vegetation, atmosphere systems. It is the central topic of this workshop to better find out how to determine these patterns and how to use the concept of patterns in modeling.
I'm primarily interested in the interaction of the pattern of precipitation with the pattern of vegetation, soils, and topography.
The patterns that I work with are patterns in time series.
Pattern is really a keyword for myself, which I've been associated with over the past 2 decades.
We selected these external colleagues because of their special expertise in patterns. So we looked through all the people we know who is working on patterns, who can help us in improving our monitoring concepts, how to improve our modeling concepts. And these people we invited here.
The TR 32 has a focus on scale issues. That is, how processes change from small scales to large scales and from short scales to very long time scales.
In my work, I'm concentrating on the very local scale and very small catchment.
My main focus of interest is water resources management, generally, and floods in particular.
My working group is mainly interested in hydrological processes.
The talk today is about hydrological modeling. We're interested in how the water flows in the landscape, how it infiltrates into the soil, and how it becomes stream flow in the streams.
This is very important to understand the interaction between the river and the soil and the landscape in order to be able to forecast the effects of rainfall on floods, for example, on larger scales.
I work on the area of satellite observations of hydrology and also modeling hydrology.
I'm a meteorologist and I'm representing the field of modeling these, especially the exchange processes between the land surface and the atmosphere.
I spoke today specifically about some field measurements that we've made over large areas and how to incorporate those into hydrological models. The models are not advanced enough to address the important questions that we face today. For example, how will climate change affect water availability? How does water storage in reservoirs affect things like sea level rise?
I think it has been made clear by the participants that this concept of patterns, to introduce this in the modeling, is important, and that is the only solution to improve our models. And so I think we put the Transradio and also the projects in the right direction, because we are working exactly on that.
I'm not an expert in data collection, I'm not an expert in modeling, I'm an expert in the interface between the two. So I need those experts that are here today, I need to work with them.
Jasper Vrucht is, let's say, he mainly works on using new methods, or he develops new methods to estimate parameters and to identify which type of model is most suited to describe the data that have been measured.
So the challenging questions in our working field are how you, based on very little information in measurements, can derive probability distributions from models, model states, model parameters, model input uncertainty, so that you completely define the system that you're working on.
Typically, he uses also what we call Bayesian analysis. That means in a Bayesian analysis, you try to use information that you already have to improve the prediction of the future state.
My main area of expertise is the simulation of atmospheric flows.
So in TR 32, I'm mainly working on the numerical modeling area.
We're looking at ways that we can downscale what these global climate models tell us to a local scale to understand what is the impact of climate change on Aachen or on a small watershed. The problem with current climate models, or one of the main problems, is that their grid resolutions are too coarse. For example, the whole of Switzerland will be just one grid cell in a climate model.
So what we are doing is to develop a model which allows us to develop new concepts, which allows us to interpret the data our colleagues are measuring in the TR32.
This workshop is really a success. So we got shown some new methods which we have not applied yet in the Transregio. So we got some new ideas also for the next period for which we apply.